All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Fort Worth Community Arts Center's Boxed Lunch Program. We are back live today. I'm Jason Leyva, and we are so very excited heading back to some education and learning all kinds of fun stuff about the Fort Worth Museum of Science. And today we have the one and only Kippen de Alba Chu. Did I say that right, Kippen?
Perfect. Right on. Perfect.
Oh, awesome. We are so glad to have you. And as we get started, do you mind just taking a moment and introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about who you are and what it is you do?
Sure. So again, my name is Kippen de Alba Chu, and as of yesterday, I just made 2 years exactly at the Fort Worth Museum of Science and History. I'm currently the chief of staff, and like I said, 2 years ago, my family and I, we moved here to Texas, to Fort Worth from Honolulu, where I was the executive director at a National Historic Site. It's the Royal Palace right in downtown Honolulu. And I was there for 12 years. Uh,
Wow.
Decided to make the change and come to a science museum. And it's been a great change ever since.
Honolulu to
Yep,
Texas.
to
What
Texas,
in
yes.
the world inspired that?
Cost of living.
Fair enough.
It is so expensive to live in Hawaii.
I have heard that as well. Before we delve into all of this other stuff, I've never been there. I'm very curious. What is something that people may not know about Honolulu and Hawaii?
Well, this is right up the alley of where I used to work. Hawaii, like Texas, was an independent nation.
Uh,
Uh, but unlike Texas, Hawaii actually had treaties with treaties with about five, I would say 5 or 6 major countries at the time. It was the first non-Western nation actually recognized by the big powers. So we're talking about Great Britain, France, the United States, and Russia.
wow, that's impressive. Sure enough, didn't know that. So here's our next big reveal today. Kippen, what's on your lunch menu?
So I'm not cooking today because I'm not in the kitchen, and I decided to go and get a plate lunch. So one of the things I did when I moved to Texas was to find out where I could get good Hawaiian plate lunches because I do miss them. And there is a brand new place that opened up on 8th Avenue. This is their second location in the Metroplex, called Aloha Chicken and Shrimp. So
Oh,
I'm gonna open it up here.
oh
And
my goodness gracious.
so there you can see it has chicken katsu with butter garlic shrimp, macaroni salad, and a bed of rice underneath.
Holy smokes, that looks absolutely delicious.
It's really delicious.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to some reviews there, and we'll see if we can't pull up some links and guide some people to them. So,
Okay.
all right. So a lot of people have been giving me grief about reheating, so I'm actually gonna try to do a little bit of cooking today. So today I am making some homemade pizza. So I have a little bit of leftover garlic bread, some pizza sauce, some black olives, pepperonis, and mozzarella cheese. So I'm going to throw that on top of there, and I'll give everybody a peek of that prior to moving over to the air fryer today.
All
So I've
right.
been on the 2 burners behind me for a year, and I'm going to try the air fryer today, and we'll see how that works out. So I'll give everybody an update as we get started, and I get things prepped, throw it in the oven, and then we'll see how it comes out. So Kippen, it's my understanding that the museum is temporarily suspending public guests from coming in, but you are still open. Is that correct? Can you catch us up a little bit about how the museum's dealing with things these days?
Yes. So we, as of January 2nd, we decided to suspend our public hours. So prior to that, last fall, we were open on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. We decided coming into 2021, the winter surge was happening. Very few people were coming through the museum. Uh, so we decided, actually, from a financial standpoint, it would actually make sense for us not to be open on the weekends. We are open, however, for all of our educational programming. So we have museum school that has been running since the fall, and we've actually had a number of people re-enroll their children who had pulled out from the summertime. So they're coming back. We also have our outreach programs going on, so people can come to the museum. They make an appointment, families, and we do a STEM lab. So we're doing science projects with families, and we see a lot of grandparents coming in with their grandchildren during the day. And then, of course, our Little Scholars program, which I'm really happy about. It's for first through fifth graders. They are doing their online learning at the museum. So we have targeted kids from areas, communities where they may not have access to internet or even a
Oh, wow.
Chromebook, do their online learning, virtual learning from their schools. So we're providing the equipment, we're providing the online access. We are doing transportation, so we're actually going to pick up the children and to drop them off, eliminating barriers to education, and we're providing breakfast, lunch, and an afternoon snack.
Wow.
This is all with certified teachers in separate pods. Again, we're doing social distancing, as well as facilitators. And we have currently about 30 kids right now in the program.
Dude, that's amazing. And so not only do you guys have these great virtual programs for kids in education, I noticed something on the website that I thought was really, really spectacular. You guys are actually doing a Mars landing watch party. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
And so
Yes,
that's not just for kids, that's for anybody who would like to go to Mars, correct?
that's for anyone. Yes, our online component is still going strong. We've been doing a lot of videos and actual live demonstrations, and then of course, like you said, the Mars landing is a big one coming up. And so we have a number of those. If people follow us on the website and through social media, they'll see we have a lot of things planned coming up.
Yeah, seriously, I was just looking through the website and it's just really amazing all of the things that you've got going on there. Now, you guys, how are you dealing with your members? Because you guys have memberships as well to the museum. How are they all faring when they're not able to physically show up at that building?
Yeah, that's our membership has taken a dive, and this was to be expected. People bought them to come to the museum, families especially, to bring their kids, and because our hours were closed, we had a lot of people cancel. We were open in the fall from mid-August through December, and we did that a lot for our members to come. But when we did surveys, we found out that a good chunk of our members actually still did not feel comfortable coming to the museum
Sure.
because of the pandemic. We've been extending the memberships accordingly as we've been closed. Uh, but again, from a financial standpoint, people have just decided not to renew. We did get some new memberships for Christmas. People bought gift memberships, but again, not at the levels that we saw pre-pandemic.
Gotcha. Yeah, it has been crazy to say the least. So I'm going to
Yeah.
show off my lunch here real quick, and we'll get into some more details. So that's what it looks like going in there. I just got some garlic bread and some black olives, a few pepperonis, and some mozzarella cheese. So 350, about 20 minutes, and we'll see if I can keep from catching the kitchen on fire. So I'm going to slide
Wait,
that in there. Set my timer for 20.
air fryer?
Yeah,
Is that
well, we'll see.
fried pizza? I love it.
I know, really. So um, I love to cook, but there is some pressure trying to do the interviews as well, and so it's all I can do sometimes in these current times to remember my name, let alone half of the things that have been going on in the world. So,
I hear you.
um, so Kippen, do you mind talking a little bit? I know that you guys have uh, pivoted a few times. What do you feel the COVID pandemic and just the last year has really taught you about the museum that you're currently at and just the state of challenges that face some of these artistic venues?
Sure. So I'm going to say, and this is going to be uh, quite forthright in my observations. Pre-pandemic, I felt that our museum actually had too many employees working in too many silos and not communicating with each other. So these were closely guarded fiefdoms where people did not question the status quo. So as the pandemic started and we had to shutter our operations, it gave us the necessary pause to examine the numbers and learn, that we were losing money by being open. And again, I'm talking pre-pandemic now.
Right.
So, so for me, I learned early on that I welcomed the disruption to our operations because it provided an incredible once in a lifetime opportunity to address these systemic inefficiencies in our operations and to plan for major changes in how we operate at some point in the future. Now, I feel that a lot of museums are going through this, whether they like it or not,
Right.
and they're beginning to question some of the things that they had assumed before. But unlike a lot of the art museums in the cultural district, we do not have a large endowment, and so we have always been relying on earned income, and that's taken a hit of 97%. We are down 97%.
Wow.
But if you think pre-pandemic that we weren't making money, even though we had revenue coming in, that's a cause for concern and for pause, and this gave us that.
Wow, that's just those figures are astounding. Um,
Yeah.
and so you mentioned an art museum as opposed to a history and science museum. What do you consider to be the biggest differences between, say, the Kimball and the Museum of History and Science? To me, they all seem to have a artistic value. I guess when I see those things, I assume that anything that is being presented to be consumed or even studied still has an artistic quality. Um, where do you think some of those differences lie between a artistic museum with, say, Picasso, and the history and science that may have a space capsule, which I consider to be just as much of a work as art as a painting?
Right. Well, I would say that you're in the minority for thinking that. One of the, I guess the biggest differences is how the visitors and members of an art museum view that institution versus, say, the people who come to the Museum of Science and History. And what I mean by that is, for those who support, who are a member of an art museum, they do it specifically to support that institution and its programming. Versus those people who come to the Museum of Science and History, it's from a more transactional standpoint. They're paying for something like a membership or admission because they're expecting to get something out of it, right? They're expecting to learn something. They're going to come on premises and experience it. As where supporters of an art museum may not go there that often, but they do want to feel like they are supporting it still because they know the value in the works of art that are there. And they may have seen it before in the past, and they want to make sure that that museum is there to protect these works of art.
Wow. Yeah, it's just so interesting. I mean, there's such a diverse quality to just simply the word museum. And,
Ex-
people have such preconceived notions about what these things are.
mhm.
But there really is some wonderful opportunity to expand, curriculums, awareness, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about museums in general. And I just find it so interesting that some people go to consume and some people go to learn. And in my mind, that's always gone hand in hand, regardless of where you are or what the expectation is. So now I know you talked a little bit, Kippen, about some of the internal challenges that you've had just in regards to funding and the staffing that has been uh, uh, always a concern, even pre-pandemic. What have you learned about yourself or your organization in this last year? I know it's only been 2 years, but it seems like that's quite an eye-opening experience to have 1 year under your belt and then get to deal with the pandemic. I did the same thing at the Arts Center. I had 1 year, everything was normal, and then the next year it was just insanity. So, what have you learned about yourself and the museum?
Sure. Uh, I've learned that not only can we pivot, but that we can do it in a way that galvanizes, that energizes the staff to want to continue on this path of change and to move forward. So I'll just share the Little Scholars Program, for example. When we started that up in October, we were able to bring back some of the employees who had been previously furloughed. And in speaking with them, there's a sense that we are doing something very meaningful and impactful for the community, for these children. And so, for example, I would say a little bit more than 1/3 of the children in Little Scholars are actually from the Presbyterian Night Shelter.
Wow.
So they're families that have lost their homes during the pandemic for a number of reasons. We are also now partnering with the Union Gospel Mission as well. Uh, so these kids coming from this disadvantaged background, and then of course putting on top of that the pandemic and virtual learning, so many of them were behind in their homework in school when they came to us, or they were simply just disengaged because there was no learning in person, from last spring. So we've been able to help break down these barriers for these kids, and to see that happen for our staff working with the kids, it has been fulfilling for them. I mean, the teachers have told me that this is a dream come true for teachers, that they are able to do this. I mean, we're seeing kids at the second or third grade who perhaps don't know how to read still, but because they fall into the cracks or they're having issues with math, our staff can spend that time to now bring them up to speed.
Wow. It just sounds like an incredible program. Now, is that still open? Can people still go and sign up for this program? Can you tell us a little bit about maybe how to find some more detail or where to engage with this program?
Yes, the easiest way is to go to our website. You can just Google Fort Worth Museum of Science and History, and it should pop up, one of the first links. And you can read about it there and find out the contact information to get your child involved in it. We have openings at all of the grade levels, and we do have scholarships available, so tuition waivers for people who qualify. And basically, if you qualify under one of the federal programs, then we'll accept your child.
Wow, that's
Definitely.
absolutely great. Now, I know that I may have led people to believe that there wasn't a lot going on inside the building, but I think it's important to point out that you guys have activities as well. Some are outside. I know we talked a little bit about the virtual programs. Um, can you be a little more specific about what it is you're offering for people that may not necessarily just want to sit on a computer and learn about stuff, but there are some things that are going on outside of the building as well, live and in person. Is that correct?
There are plans for that, but we haven't done that yet.
Gotcha.
Because it's winter time. So,
Oh, it's just,
well,
it's Texas. Are you kidding?
it hasn't been that
It's a
cold yet, but
40% chance of snow for the whole entire year on one day. So then let me expand on my question. What are the challenges you're facing to set those dates, to develop those programs? And are you just waiting on spring? Is that the only thing that's really kind of uh, uh, keeping the gates closed on unveiling some of those outdoor experiences?
yeah, I would say, well, one of the challenges, so we have had in-person events at the museum in December. We normally have the Polar Express party where you come in your pajamas and you watch the movie. And we have a lot of activities. This year, because the Omni Theater is closed, and of course, theaters, most people are avoiding theaters, we
Yeah,
decided to do the pajama party without the movie. So we had activities at the museum. Uh, Again, attendance was much lower than in previous years for obvious reasons. Uh, so the challenge really is making people feel comfortable to come back out. And I think as long as we're still in the pandemic and that the vaccine rollout hasn't been, I mean, we haven't had that many months of it yet,
right.
we're not going to get back to the numbers we had prior. And so, from a financial standpoint, it's hard for us to continue with these types of programs without the revenue to come in to support them, right?
Sure. Yeah. Now, now you guys have that Omni Theater as well, and I'm curious from a standpoint. We've heard all of these concerns and debate about the motion picture industry. I've always wondered, what is your connection to that particular area? Do you guys do you rent the movies that play at the Omni? Are they offered to you from an educational standpoint? I've just always been very curious how it is you pick and produce the films that go into that particular venue.
Sure. A lot of the films are chosen because the field trips from the schools, when there used to be field trips way back when, but they would come and see them. So we would run those specifically during the day for the schools. And then, of course, in the evening and for special events, we would bring in the more commercial titles, so much less educational. Uh, and those would usually generate a lot of revenue, such as Coco. We ran it in Spanish one year recently. And then, of course, during Shark Week, we would have a lot of programming regarding sharks, etc. One of the things that people may not realize is that when we run a commercial film, we are paying every time we run it and how many people
Sure.
come in. But we also, as a nonprofit, still have to pay tax on that.
Yeah.
So, right? Unrelated business income tax, which is really high at 37%. And so our auditors started to question that if we bring in a commercial film and it doesn't do well, we end up paying a lot for it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the rights are something that very few people, I think, are even aware of. And I'm always curious if it's more expensive because the screen's bigger, or if it's more expensive because there's just not as many people in there. And these IMAX huge screens are great when you're having to deal with those things, but I can only imagine that the upkeep of that kind of scale has really got to put some hurdles in front of things as well. And I'm just so amazed that people are able to find any way to stay engaged with this as well.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though I don't want to say the arts in general, but do you think that you guys will continue to partner with a lot of the virtual programming? Is that something that you think will carry over moving forward?
I think definitely. That's one of the things we're going to find. that has been helpful is this use of the video technology in a way that can allow us to partner across institutions, across maybe even countries. For example, we're actually going to facilitate, and this just happened. There is a school in the country of Colombia that has an English language component, and one of the teachers who's from the US reached out to us to see about doing online programming in science. And they wanted to learn about renewable energy. And so we've connected them with the company that advises us, the company's called Five, regarding renewable energy projects here in Texas, across the US, and as well as in Latin America.
That's just so amazing. Uh, this sharing that we've been able to really see has been an amazing thing, I know, for the arts. And I really do think that people lose sight a lot of times of some of these other great venues that have as much to offer as live theater, movies, and those kind of things. What is something about the museum, uh, the museum's value, not only in education? Why should people support the Museum of History and Science? What's something that's important that people may not know about?
I would say that we are making an effort to partner with a lot of the other organizations, cultural organizations in Fort Worth. So by supporting us, they are in a sense supporting the entire cultural industry and sector. Another program, I'll give you an example, is that we're going to partner with the Fort Worth Symphony
Oh, right.
with our Little Scholars program. So the musicians will come, and I think it's called the Science of Strings, but teaching the kids about these instruments and music in general, perhaps the scientific aspect of it. So in this way, we are trying to partner to support all the other sister organizations here in the city. Uh, Artes de la Rosa is another one where we did a live Facebook programming on Day of the Dead with the Mariposa butterflies.
Mm.
I learned a lot about the butterflies I did not know before. Fascinating creatures. So I mean, we are going to try to share a lot more of the history with the community. We have a huge collection, 75,000 items in a warehouse in Arlington, and we're going to make a concerted effort to bring more of those to the museum for people to see and enjoy.
Wow, it's just incredible. Again, it's just it's obvious to me, and I know that's because I'm knee deep in it all the time. But just the science involved in lighting a live production, and the beauty of the way that those things are able to enhance. The things that are going on, just from the audio aspects and the acoustics of the room to the ability to create mood through different variants of light prisms and things like that.
Right.
And a lot of people think that that art is just hopping up on a stage and singing a song, but um, being as involved as I have been in the technical sides of things, I honestly think there's probably more science than art even involved in that. So there certainly is a learning curve. And I just think it's great that you guys are finding ways to not only stay engaged, but also the collaboration with the arts community. And hopefully that'll bridge some gaps and bring some more audiences into the building, or at least online, till you guys are back up and running at full speed. So,
No, definitely. Oh, I just wanted to mention one other thing, and again, this is with our Little Scholars program, is we are going to do programming in during the break. So when the Fort Worth ISD is on, say, spring break or even the summer break,
right.
we're going to continue programming at the museum so the kids can continue to come, because a lot of them are behind. So we're going to help with this gap. But one of the other things is we're going to take advantage of our location in the cultural district to then take the kids to the other museums,
Awesome.
then to introduce them to art, right? And then also we have the botanical gardens next to us,
Yes.
all of that.
I think it's one of the most beautiful districts around. There's just such versatility, and I just cannot express it enough. If people haven't been over there, I certainly encourage everyone to get out there. There's a lot of diversity, a lot of different kind of programs running, and it's really, really a special place. And I
Great.
feel very flattered to be a part of it, and also to have you guys right next door to us. So it's really nice. So
Here, same.
Kippen, yeah, I know that you touched on some of this a little bit in terms of your partnerships and some of the programs that you're using to collaborate with other organizations in the area. Can you talk a little bit more specifically about what helpful community resources you are seeing or using personally? And how can your organization be assisted or provide assistance to other artists and organizations?
Hmm. Okay. I would say that the one that I've seen the most that has been the most helpful to me has been the Fort Worth or City of Fort Worth community bulletins that have
Oh,
come up
great,
with a lot
great.
of information. Those that I've received have been sent out from the neighborhood association where we currently live, which is in Linwood. And I found a lot of interesting articles and links, especially on vaccination programs coming up and
Oh,
what the health
right, right.
has been doing. So we've been helping some of our neighbors who may not have a computer to get them registered for the vaccination program as well.
I
Uh,
think that is fantastic.
yeah, no, definitely. So, from the museum standpoint, we are looking to be a resource rather than trying to find resources. Let's put it that way. That
Yes.
we want to be a resource for the community, and we want people to approach us, to contact us with ideas for partnering, etc. I do want to share with you that we have a big project, even though we're temporarily suspended publicly. We're going to be unveiling it's called the current science studio in the museum. This was through a grant from Facebook. We are bringing in it's called the Science on a Sphere. So it's the Earth, and it's a high resolution projection system. It'll be the highest resolution in the world, and I think this
Wow.
is the second one in Texas that shows in real time weather around the globe,
Wow.
along with a whole bunch of other things geologically, et cetera, that we're going to be showcasing. And so because we're not going to be open to the public, we're going to do this virtually and have online programming. But of course, when we reopen, people can then see it in person. The only other one is at the American Airlines Center here in the Metroplex. But we're very happy that we're going to have that. And I mean, I don't even know all the possibilities to use this, but it's also part of our whole Project Planet initiative for people to learn about climate change, et cetera.
Awesome. Yeah, that just sounds amazing. I can't wait to check that out. Um, so am I correct in assuming that that there are also hands-on experiences in the museum as well? And I know that while the doors may be closed now, there's more than just walking in and looking at things. Correct? You guys have a lot of hands-on educational aspects and things that you can really manipulate and maneuver in there as well. Is that right?
Yes, and all of that was available pre-pandemic. We had a children's gallery, energy blast, as well as our innovation studios. So a lot of things that you could touch, lie on top of, et cetera. We're hoping one day that we can go back to that.
It's coming, Kippen. I promise you it's coming.
And we're also reimagining ways where you don't have to necessarily touch. So we have our exhibit people, our science people are looking at interactives where body motion, et cetera, that it can trigger the exhibit without actually touching a screen.
Yeah, and that's really where I was going with that, and I'm really curious to know. And it sounds like you guys are already dealing with that. When you have such reliability on some of the major things that have been hurdles, touching close quarters, high surface areas, and it just sounds like you guys are continuing to really be inventive in ways to find things to engage and still retain what it is that is most important there, which sounds like education and educating And so it's just a wonderful opportunity to grow some newer audiences online. And I can't wait till you guys are back in the clear and have the doors open. I've been to a few science and history museums, and I have to say, there's nothing better than getting in there and spinning those wheels and turning those knobs and seeing how all that stuff goes. So
Exactly. Yes.
yeah. So Kippen, here's probably one of the most important questions that I'm going to ask you today. How and where can we find all of these fantastic programs and keep up with what's going on over there at the museum?
Yeah, and the best way is through our website. And on our website, you can actually sign up. We have e-blasts going out. You provide an email address, and we'll give you updates on all the things that are coming up. And a lot of it is going to be online, so people can participate that way. And then, of course, like you said, at that point where we reopen and have our doors again wide open for the public, you'll be the first to know if you sign up on our e-blasts.
Awesome. Any other social media spots out there where people can view some of the things? I don't know if you guys have an Instagram or a Facebook page or any of that as well.
We do. We do have a Facebook page, Instagram. I don't remember if we have Twitter, but anyway, again, Facebook and Instagram definitely.
Awesome. Well, we'll try to get some links down low and see if we can't drive some traffic over there and help encourage people to check out all of that wonderful stuff that you guys have got going on. So, all right, Kippen, I think we're about to wrap things up. I didn't even let you get a single bite of that beautiful food in. Before I unveil my homemade pizza and we sign off here, I'm curious if you have any words of wisdom or encouragement for all of the people out there. Any advice for all of us as we continue to move through these trying times?
Wow, with so much going on and so much advice flying around, I'm thinking the best is probably for us to continue to expect more changes along the way, that perhaps a wish to go back to how things were may not be realistic in the short term, and that may hinder us from accepting the change that is coming. I think we're in for some more surprises, especially in the museum sector and the arts and cultural. We'll see. You know, I'm hoping that the new federal grant for shuttered venues will be a big help to us. But again, that's what I'm kind of telling people, that my colleagues, is just be ready now. We've gone through a year of craziness, uh, and so don't think it's over yet. But I think that'll help with the anxiety. Just know that there are more things to come, and you know, if we're ready and embrace the change, there's always an opportunity there. Always.
I agree. I think if we really get our minds around this, there have been some really great advancements and opportunities in the arts sector specifically. And I really do think that perception will be the first real big hurdle that we have to get back to normalcy. And you know, they're throwing words around like endemic and not pandemic anymore. And you're right. We've had a year to practice at this and learn new ways. And I certainly hope that that we continue to lean into it and advance ourselves, because you know, art will go on, and it'll be a matter if we're able to change with it. That seems to be the only consistency through time, is our ability to adapt. And Mother Nature does what it wants.
Yes.
And I know we think we're awful smart, but I just don't believe we have solved that riddle yet about being able to see what she has in store for us. So
I totally agree.
Kippen, it's been a pleasure. Are you ready? Let me see that. Let me see that beautiful meal again.
Oh my gosh. And the smell, I've been smelling it this whole time.
I'm not going to let you wait any longer. All right.
Watch me dump this on my keyboard.
Well, I've poured a few bowls of soup out over the top of mine as well. So, all right. So here's
Oh,
mine as well. I don't think I burned it. I'm pretty excited. Melted that cheese on there.
yeah.
And let's see if I can break that in half and give you a
Okay.
little insight to that chewy goodness.
Oh my gosh.
It turned out pretty well. I'm pretty proud of myself.
All right, the final verdict, the final verdict.
Exactly. Kippen, thank you so much for your time. Ladies
Oh,
and gentlemen, that
Jason.
wraps up another episode of Box Lunch. Check them out over at the Museum of Science and History online. Go check them out. Go support them. Some great stuff. All right, folks, we'll be back next week with another episode. Bon appetit, everybody. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.
Bye. Mm.
I did it. It was great stuff.
Mm.